Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Okay, Pete, welcome back. Films and Stuff podcast. I wouldn't call this an emergency episode, but this is a hot off the press episode, opening night episode.
Yeah, I would agree, Ethan.
So it is Thursday, and Thor: Love and Thunder has been released worldwide. Pete, you saw it in London, yeah?
I did.
And I saw it in Dubai. What was the crowd like for you?
So I was lucky. There were only 3 people in my screening.
Whoa.
The reason I say I was lucky is because the next screening was filled with kids. I saw the lobby of the cinema, and there must have been easily 150 kids all waiting to see Thor. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. I don't need to. I'm not going to run into a cinema filled with chit chatters and gossipers, and
Yeah. I mean, I was in a smaller cinema, and I mean, it was probably 85% full.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, so if maybe there are 30 seats, probably 25, 26 were filled, something like that.
Yeah.
But overall, I did not feel like the cinema was so busy. I mean, I would have expected that there are shows in other theaters before and after, and I did not feel like the cinema in general was so busy. And as you may know, it's a holiday weekend here, so I kind of thought it was going to be a little bit more of a madhouse. It was not, but we're still at the very beginning of the weekend. So anyway, that's
holiday weekend, and your guys, it's like 40 degrees, 50 degrees out there.
Yeah,
now? It's a heat wave.
I mean, that's kind of why I thought it was going to be extremely popular, and probably throughout the weekend it's going to be. I mean, given the heat, everyone's going to be inside at malls. It's a holiday, so kids are off. No one's working. It seems like, cinema is going to be extremely popular, and really this is the only new release out there. So tell me, instant reaction, where are you on this?
I loved it.
Whoa.
I thought it was really good. I thought it was... I don't think it was as good as the third movie, Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And I will admit that that's primarily also because I read and knew of the Ragnarok storylines from my comic book days. This is a relatively new... Not story that way it's new for me. Obviously, it's been in the comics before, but it's a new storyline and story element for me.
So you loved it. You're using the word love.
Yeah.
You give it a must-see.
Considering it's a Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder. I mean, you and I saw it a few hours apart, and we were very careful not to exchange any messages that would have influenced each other. But I have to say, if you would have sent me a message saying, hey, enjoy it, I would have assumed that you loved it, and it may have probably caused me to like it more than I did. I thought it was a very ho-hum, workman-like effort for Marvel.
Yeah.
Several funny parts. I have to say there are several very funny parts. But in terms of and there was some interesting plot. I mean, I think that Gore, the God Killer, was an interesting twist. I think bringing in Zeus was an interesting twist. But overall, in terms of complexity, interesting, keeping me thinking, on my toes, something new, something, I have to say it was pretty linear, right down the middle kind of.
Yeah, it played
showing.
a lot of the movie, I think, played by a formula or by the numbers.
Yeah.
But I have to say, and in the interest of full disclosure, my immediate reaction walking out after the second, end credit sequence was, I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And if I were forced to make a decision then and there, I would have said, it's a good movie, but hang on. I don't know if it's a must watch in the cinemas immediately.
What changed?
But then over the course of the last 6 or 7 hours, it kind of like marinated in my mind a little bit. I thought a little bit more about it. And I thought that they were, unlike some of the other movies and maybe a few of the other shows, this was a little bit more subtle with what their future plans are going to be. And I, by the end of it, just before we started recording, I thought a little bit more about it. And I said, you know what? You have to watch it in the cinema. It's really good. I actually think it's much better after you get to decompress a little bit. And maybe your opinion will change tomorrow, or maybe you'll feel that way. I don't know. I think you've literally just got back, whereas I've had a few hours to digest. I think I really liked it. I like it more now than I did as soon as I walked out of the cinema.
I thought that. I mean, I want to look it up on IMDb because I want to look at the cast a little bit. But I thought
let's do that. Let's break it down by the character. What did you think of each character and how they acted?
I mean, I thought that Hemsworth, Thor, had a very, very good performance. I mean, he was. I mean, he came in obviously buff and ripped, and I thought he carried the emotional baggage in the right way. I thought he gave a very, very good performance. I thought I was going to love Natalie Portman as the mighty Thor, and to be honest, I felt that she fell a little bit flat. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just wasn't really buying it. I thought that it was very rushed in terms of how she became Mighty Thor, and I thought she played kind of it didn't kind of sit right with me that she was kind of very experienced, but then she was kind of new at it at the same time. I just didn't find that she pulled off that difficult balance very well. I thought Christian Bale was exceptional as Gore.
Oh, yeah.
Exceptional performance as Gore. Although Gore is, I mean, a very prominent character. I mean, he's the antagonist, right? I mean, it's. Mm-hmm. He's not a very compelling villain. I don't know if he's ever going to make our villains list, but I thought he played that role exceptionally well, and that's probably a pretty okay storyline as well. Tessa Thompson brought it, I thought, as King Valkyrie. But again, nothing kind of new from her prior, the other like Avengers or Thor movies we've seen her in, I mean, she brought it, and it was just kind of continuation. Russell Crowe was a very puffy Zeus. Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't see a whole lot of Chris Pratt. We didn't see a lot of, any of the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. So, I mean, I thought Hemsworth did a great job. I thought that he was funny. I thought there was a lot of stuff written for him to be funny, but I also felt like a lot of the jokes were recycled, used twice. For example, we saw this thing in New Asgard where they did kind of like the play, right? And they had Matt Damon in there again playing Loki. Again. I mean, that's recycled, right? I mean, it was very funny in Ragnarok. We're like, oh, that's Matt Damon. Is that Matt Damon? That's Matt Damon playing Loki. Oh, that's so funny, right? And I just kind of felt like it was extremely funny. And even when I go back and watch the old one, it's funny. It's just recycled. And it's really hard, I think, for me to laugh as hard, when you see it kind of the second time. You're like, oh, yeah, that is funny, but you're like... I
mean, they added a little element to it. Look, yeah. I get what you're saying. For me, it was more about like just the continuity of the fact that you have these Asgardians pretending to be Loki in this play.
Yeah.
And then they mixed it up by having Melissa McCarthy play Hela, which I thought was a funny thing.
Yeah.
And then obviously what's funny is you get to see her real life husband, Ben Falcone, play the director. And, so there's a little bit of humor in that. Yeah. I like that. In terms of Hemsworth, there were two things, okay? So the thing I liked was that he played a guy who had emotional baggage really well.
Yeah.
I think that we got to see that emotional baggage. I thought that was really good. But it also, I can't help but feel like this movie seemed to make him take a step backwards in his maturity and emotional growth. Yeah. Given where he was at the end of Thor 3, given where he was at the end of Infinity War and Endgame, I thought that, he was a little bit more mature. He came off as a little bit more almost like a playful doofus at sometimes. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it just, there were moments where he was just like, oh, I can do this. And then he kind of trips over himself kind of thing.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, he plays that very well, right? As kind of the vulnerable or the hapless, God, right? Like he plays it very well, but I agree with you. We've kind of seen that from him again, and we've seen that from him before, and he does do it extremely well, and I'm sure that's why they build it in, because it always gets laughs, and he is very, very good at it. But
yeah,
I've kind of we've seen it. Is he really so down on his luck?
I don't want to see a super mature Thor. I get it. Yeah. Nobody does, because that's a little boring. And, you don't want to have like a Shakespearean Thor like we've already seen in the first movie. So I get it. And Chris Hemsworth is a naturally funny guy. So you want to play to your natural strengths. Yeah. So I get it. Yes.
I'd rather see him as like like Loki, I find is funny because he's like the ultra confident, arrogant, like hapless guy, right? Whereas now Thor is kind of like, oh, I loved once. Like that was never a theme for Thor before. Oh, I lost my love. Well, I can't find myself. It's because what should I do? I guess I'll just defend planets and go to war. Like I felt like that was what we saw in Avengers Endgame 2, right? Where we kind of saw Fat Thor and he came back like.
Exactly.
I would have preferred to see a more arrogant, but kind of like a hapless, arrogant person,
or maybe not even arrogant, but kind of almost arrogant to the point. Sorry, almost overconfident to the point of condescending.
Yeah.
Because, as you rightly pointed out, Jane Foster, Natalie Portman has only been doing this for 6 months max, right? Yeah. And they make a point. She even admits, I've been diagnosed with cancer 6 months ago. So which means at most she's been the new Thor or Mighty Thor for 6 months.
Yeah.
Great. That's fine. But then she's also super adept at being a kick-ass superhero within that time. Whereas I think it would have been funny if she were the one who was kind of the bumbling. Because in terms of her emotional standpoint, she was, right? She was giddy. She was oh, this is my first bad guy.
She should have been done this in before. Awe of her power. Not really able to control it, but... I agree. That was my problem.
That would have been a little bit more and then Thor is kind of guiding her along, and thinking and he's kind of
mansplaining.
Obviously not a father figure, but
it could have been mansplaining.
Exactly.
Look, this is how you use the hammer. This is how you activate it.
And interestingly, she's the one who's actually kicking ass more with it, but by dumb luck, not because she knows what she's doing.
Yes.
Yet, right?
Yeah, the beginner's luck would have been nice.
Interesting.
I agree.
I think that would have been more interesting. I like Tessa Thompson. I think she played the bored, ennuied, king of Asgard who doesn't really want to be king of Asgard well. I thought that was fine.
But we didn't see anything new. I mean, it was her same role and she played it very well, but there was nothing new. And I think that's why I thought it was a very good workmanlike Marvel effort.
Yeah.
The thing I think maybe we're comparing this to Doctor Strange or Strange 2. Strange 2 took more risks. They had at one point there were 3 Stranges, right? The dead Strange, the bad Strange, and the real Strange, right?
Strange, yeah.
They took a little bit more risks, and it was also a little bit more complex, mentally to kind of follow which world they're in and what's going on. Whereas I thought Thor was pretty straightforward, okay, let's get on the goat boat. And I thought that was funny. Like, let's get on the goat boat. I mean, that's just kind of like a cheap laugh, but let's get on the goat boat. And now let's go to this new place that we've never heard of before. But okay, we follow you. And then there's a big battle on this place. Okay, now we're going to go to this place. And I just thought it was a very linear film. And for Marvel, I was expecting, now that we're in the multiverse, I was expecting more people coming back and forth and more complexity and more laughs. And wait a second, what are you doing here? Wait a second, what are you doing here? Wait a second, what's going on here?
Yeah, I understand. I know what you mean. In the sense, you're right. It feels like a paint by numbers Marvel movie when we're hoping to see more gears turning towards the grand scheme, right?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, that's I think what identifies the MCU now, is that each phase kind of moves towards a grand finale.
Yeah.
And this didn't seem like it was going anywhere. It just kind of seemed like, okay, well, we've got 2 hours in the cinema booked for July 2022, so let's pump out a Thor movie that would kind of fill in that role.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with you in that regard. Yeah. But I think overall, still, as a movie, I thought it was very good. And I think what they're doing, and it becomes very clear once you start looking at the other MCU properties, what they're clearly doing is building a new Young Avengers team, right? We now have Thor's adopted daughter. Oh, and by the way, spoiler alert. So... 15, 20 minutes in, spoiler alert, we don't want to...
right before the grand finale.
So you have Thor's adopted daughter, who's now basically going to be a superhero.
Yeah.
You've got the new young Hawkeye, who was introduced in the Hawkeye show. You've got a new Ms. Marvel, who's been introduced in her own show. You've got... I'm sure they're going to do a new Spider-Man. So they're basically keying up what's going to be the next team-up superhero movie. What I thought was a mistaken opportunity, and maybe they showed it, but it's like an Easter egg and I must have missed it. We just saw an MCU show specifically about gods in Moon Knight. Why did we not see a Moon Knight cameo or even a Moon Knight reference anywhere? Right? They were at this place, this omnipotent palace, with all the gods of the universe.
I have to say, that's a very, very good point.
How easy and how obvious would it have been? Because as soon as they said that and they started talking about this is where all the gods are, oh, well, duh, this is how you introduce Moon Knight into the cinematic universe. And what a perfect place to do it. And you don't even need to show Moon Knight. Show one of the gods, show Ra, show Set.
That's a very, very good point. I have to say that's really a brilliant observation, and I agree.
I feel like that's just a missed opportunity for MCU. They could have done it. It wouldn't have cost them anything, and it would have given them the world of options.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, like I said, I saw it. I laughed several times. I thought there are a lot of funny little things.
Yep.
But overall,
I love Stormbreaker's little jealousy.
I love Stormbreaker's little jealousy. But they were kind of cheap tricks. I like Thor always saying another Thor adventure, or something to that extent. I thought he played that role very, very well, but overall, like I said, it's definitely worth seeing. I don't know if I would say it's a must-see run out now, but you should go to the cinema and see it, don't rearrange your schedule to see it tonight or tomorrow or whenever, but when you get the chance, go see it. That's kind of my recommendation. But overall, I thought that
I think you'd be doing yourself a disservice because the soundtrack is excellent.
Yeah, actually, the soundtrack's all Guns N' Roses. It's all Guns N' Roses. Yeah.
They even have a kid named Axel in there.
Yeah. But I have to say,
who's Heimdall's son.
But maybe we have, we also hold Marvel to a very high standard. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. There's a lot of very smart people that are sitting around the table writing. And I just kind of, like I said, Strange, I didn't think Strange was Strange. I thought shot for the moon, and there was some stuff that fell a little bit flat,
Sure.
But I thought overall Strange was more redeeming because it made me think a little bit more, and it introduced the multiverse, and I thought it was kind of cool. All the crazy stuff, between, like, what is her name? America Chavez, jumping around and kind of like all the CGI stuff I thought was over the top. But overall, I thought that because they went back and forth between the different universes, I thought that kind of redeemed the movie and at least made me think a little bit more. And I thought it was more clever. And again, that was really my only criticism about Thor, is that there was just kind of a standard. It didn't seem like it was part of a series. It just seemed like it could have been like a standalone movie. And maybe that's good for people that haven't watched every single, Marvel movie, but I felt like it was just kind of standalone. There was nothing that you needed to know really historically. And there's no place that it really was going after this. Obviously, now Zeus is going to get involved and Hercules is going to get involved and on and on and on. And I guess that could be interesting, but that's where I fall on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that we get a little bit of a our expectations are subverted, because the moment we talk about, how you're able to get one wish when you get to the center of the universe, I immediately thought, well, obviously Thor's going to get in there and he's going to wish that Jane doesn't have cancer anymore and that she's fine.
I mean, this is kind of interesting, but also this was like a new thing, right? Never did we ever hear about like infinity or, the center of the universe or all these other things, right? I mean, like, We've had how many Thor movies, right? He's now kind of the most prominent of the original Avengers, right? I mean, he's the only one still going.
He's the only one left,
right?
Yeah.
And suddenly now it's like, oh, by the way, there's this big council that's led by Zeus of all the gods. They never called upon them, when we had Thanos and there was all these other like planets, being destroyed by Thanos. That council of gods never convened to talk about that. I mean, it's interesting, but it's also, I would have expected that they would have said like, hey, this is the first time we got together since Thanos, or there's nothing, right? There's just nothing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a running issue for people when it comes to superhero movies, is that, when you have a world-ending event in a single superhero story, how do you justify not calling these other superheroes to help you out?
Yeah.
When you know they exist in the same universe, right? It's very easy in the DC universe because, as far as we know, in Robert Pattinson's Batman universe, Superman doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So if he had, how do you justify the things? You know what I mean? So
but actually Marvel solved its own problem because it introduced the multiverse. This could have been a great opportunity. Like you said, they could add Moon Knight, they could have everyone here. And now it's introduced and said it could have been like this isn't the line, but it could have been like something like, wow, obviously this universe didn't have the Thanos problem because all these gods were around, to take care of him, once he started to get like a little bit powerful. Right?
Yeah.
I wish we would have had all these gods back in our universe, It seems like it's a problem that they could have solved, but
I mean their throwaway line, which kind of brushed this problem aside, was, look, Asgardian problems require Asgardian gods, and that's
true.
it.
That's true.
Right? That was their way of saying, hey, look, we don't get involved in other gods' domains, because they already have their goals.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Exactly. So I'm not saying it's the perfect solution, but it is a solution.
Are you surprised? I mean, this is something that is good fodder for a podcast and doesn't have like any relevant real world answer. But are you surprised that like anyone can just pick up Zeus's lightning bolt and use it?
That kind of blew me away.
I mean, like,
kind of blew me away.
Thor's hammer
is only
Thor's hammer, right? Stonebreaker should only be now Thor, right? But like Zeus, anyone can just kind of like take his lightning bolt, kill him with it. I mean, Zeus, right? I mean, like, and then say like, hey, we're just going to take this with us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a podcast problem. That's not a real world problem.
I mean, it's a round table issue, right? Yeah. I mean, the way, again, and it's not much of a mental gymnastics thing, but it's not like it's Ethan and Pete who are taking Thor's lightning bolt, right? We're talking about Thor taking Zeus's lightning bolt. Yeah. It's a god taking another god's weapon. I think that's okay. I think you can kind of understand that. The Mjolnir thing, it was super simple, but I really liked how they justified that Jane could pick it up.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought it was super simple that because it was always understood that Mjolnir isn't just a hammer. It's kind of like a conscious being.
Yes.
And that only those who are worthy can pick it up. Mm-hmm. And Thor is worthy, and he said, listen, no matter what happens, I love Jane Foster. So no matter what happens to me, you have to take care of her and you have to protect her. And that's how that, the hammer is able to put itself together and save Jane or stave off stage 4 cancer.
I agree. Did you think Jane was going to, I mean, spoiler alert again, but did you think Jane was going to live? Or do you think she's living?
That's what I was saying. That's what I expected, that it was going to be Thor who was going to walk through that doorway, stopping Gore, and that he was going to give Gore redemption, but not like this. I thought he was going to save Jane, and they were going to like talk him out of it. But it was, they went the other way. They let Gore go. He gets his daughter back. Jane bites the bullet. And does she, though? I mean, look, this is the MCU. Nobody ever really stays dead. Yeah. And they've gone to Valhalla. In the comics, when she dies, she goes to Valhalla, but then comes... Odin is also in Valhalla, and he sends her back to the Nine Realms. Yeah. So he sends her back as Valkyrie. Yeah. So I think that, is she actually gone? Who knows? Will we see her in Thor 5? Here's where I stand on that. If she wants to be back, there's a way to bring her back. If she doesn't want to be back, then they've already explained why she isn't.
What about Loki? Are you surprised there's no Loki?
A little surprised because
there was no time variance. Like there were just some really clever things that...
What would have been really great is that if instead of Heimdall, it was Loki who welcomes Natalie Portman into Valhalla, because in this timeline Loki's dead. Yeah. So it would have been a nice closure and redemption arc that in this timeline and in this universe Loki was sent to Valhalla and he and Heimdall welcomed her. Yeah. I thought that would have been great. Yeah. And yes, that's what I'm saying, is there were a lot of opportunities where they could have had Loki show up in that golden omnipotent palace with all the gods. They could have seen him in the background somewhere. They didn't have to acknowledge it, but Thor could have maybe seen him and thought it was a vision of something. They could have done a lot. Maybe they didn't want to do too much because, of course, now we know that a season 2 of Loki is coming on the MCU. So maybe they want to leave Loki out of it because, they've got more TV they can do with him before they reintroduce him. Oh, and speaking of Loki, obviously we're also introduced to Kid Loki in the Loki TV series, who can also be a part of the Avengers, the Young Avengers crew. Mm-hmm. So they're laying the groundwork with a lot of these quote unquote children to replace the old guys who created the first phase of the MCU.
What is your prediction in terms of how this movie is going to perform?
As you said, I think this is like a quote-unquote run-of-the-mill MCU, maybe filler movie. Yeah. And again, it sounds worse than it is. Yeah. And I think given the climate, and I don't just mean temperature, I mean general environment, general climate, I think that's kind of what everyone wants, is a no-brainer. Let's just forget about it. Enjoy ourselves in the cinema. I don't know if it's going to rocket to, I think it's going to easily beat Jurassic World, for example. I don't know if it's going to reach Top Gun, but who knows? I think that it's going to do really well, but I don't think it's going to do as well as other MCU movies. I don't think it's going to touch Spider-Man, for example.
What are the so I want to see what are the other Thors. So the first Thor made. Oh, that's so long ago though. How much did Ragnarok make? That's really what we need to compare it to, right? Ragnarok made only 850 million.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Dominion is at 833 right now, which I think we all consider disappointing for Jurassic.
Yeah, 500 million less or 600 million less than the Lost Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever the last Fallen Kingdom.
I would expect Thor, Love and Thunder, is going to have something a little bit similar. It is, okay, it's not exactly the 4th of July in the US, but it's still kind of like summer weekend. Mm-hmm. It's a big name. I would expect that it's going to go out gangbusters the first weekend. Like this weekend, I assume it's going to go berserk. And then everyone's going to kind of say, yeah, it's not amazing. Wait for it to come out. The moms aren't going to go. No one's going to go twice.
You say that, but like,
yeah,
you have some very, very attractive people in this movie. And Chris Hemsworth is known for being like a hunk in Hollywood at the moment.
Yeah.
Like when you think of Hollywood hunks, there are not that many names that come to your mind, and he's definitely on top of that list. Yeah. Or if not on top of that list, top 3 for sure.
Yeah. So that's kind of my expectation, or that maybe not expectation, my prediction, let's say.
I'm not gonna hazard a guess in terms of actual box office numbers at this moment. But I think it's going to I think out of the gates, it's going to go storming past Ragnarok. But I think in terms of depth, Ragnarok had a little bit more than this movie in terms of in terms of story depth. So I think that's going to fall off. Yeah, plus minus in that same ballpark of 850 million. I wouldn't be surprised.
I have to say, Ragnarok is my favorite Marvel movie.
All time?
All time.
Wow, okay.
I mean, for me, Ragnarok it's also at the height of kind of MCU, like the original MCU, You've got Hulk, you've got Thor, for me, Ragnarok had a little bit of everything, and I thought it was the funniest movie. I thought it captured a lot of different locations. For me, Ragnarok is my favorite. Then for me, Endgame 1 and 2, they're hard to separate, first of all. And it's hard to, I wouldn't say Endgame. I would say maybe Civil War would be my second favorite.
Civil War. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, that's kind of where I fall on it. But I thought Taika Waititi did a very good job with this.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's
filled with classic, great action sequences, very funny. It's a very.
I mean, he definitely should do
a Taika Waititi movie.
Yeah, he should definitely do more. I mean, absolutely, I'm on board with him doing more. But is there a? I mean, if they say, "Hey, there's another Thor coming out in 18 months," are you excited about the new Thor, or are you kind of like, a lot of Thor?
I don't know if it's a lot of Thor, but at the same time, the story has to grab me. And I don't know, again, I wasn't a huge Thor fan as a comic book reader, so I'm not sure how many Thor movies there are that would grab me in terms of storyline. Like I said, Ragnarok was probably the last. The only other one that would make me interested is if they introduce Beta Ray Bill, who is another god that was also on the same planet where they had on Battleworld, where they had Ragnarok. Mm. And he was imbued also with the power to lift Mjolnir.
Well, let's see where this plays out. I think by the end of this weekend, we'll have a better sense of of just how big the opening is. I don't think we're going to be able to determine anything from that because I think we both roundly expect that the opening weekend is going to be like super huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I expect it to do better than Doctor Strange, at least initially, and then peter out to around the same level Doctor Strange 2 was.
Where did Strange end up?
I think like 950 million. Like it came shockingly close to $1 billion. No, not only. I think for a character that's like Doctor Strange, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. He's one of the more niche superheroes in the MCU. Not just in the MCU, in the comics as well. Yeah. Let's see where we goes. I think you're right. We wait until Monday/Tuesday. We get the box office numbers, and then we'll know whether, people are aligned with what this movie is saying or not.
All right, Pete. Appreciate your time on this, not emergency episode. What do we call it? Hot off the press episode? No, I think it's just a
hot off the press.
Opening night episode?
Yeah. Yeah. We have a few spoilers. I mean, if you've gotten here all the way, too late. But I think this is a movie for you to go watch. I think it's a movie for you to go watch in the cinema. Where do you land, Ethan?
I agree, but I think that your ranking of must-see is rearrange your schedule, go see it ASAP, and mine is you should see it, but don't rearrange your schedule. Whenever it's convenient, make it a point to see.
Agreed.
All right, my friend. Thank you for your time. Listeners, thank you for your time. Please send us your comments. We want to send you some hoodies.
Aloha at filmsandstuffpodcast.com or tweet at us at F&S Podcast.
Or here.
We're always looking forward to your replies, but we're not getting any. So come on, guys.
Yeah.
Shoot us messages. Tell us what we're doing right or wrong or whatever.
More right.
Give us advice. Tell us what shows we're missing out. Tell us why we're wrong to love For All Mankind for as much as we do.
We are not wrong, but we'd like to hear your arguments.
That's right. We're ready to shoot down any arguments.
Yes, we are. We're ready to shoot down those arguments. Okay, my friend. We see you on our next episode.
That's right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.